Hello, welcome to Transversal Economic Channel. Today's subject is about the productivity paradox. The productivity paradox. Why the US economy booms but workers feel poorer. The economy of the United States is producing more wealth than ever before. Technology companies dominate global markets. Productivity continues to rise and corporate profits are hitting historic highs. But millions of workers feel like they are falling behind. Wages have barely kept up with inflation. The cost of living keeps rising, and the middle class feels squeezed. So how can the economy grow stronger while workers feel poorer? This is the mystery economics called the productivity paradox. The United States is often described as one of the most productive economies in the world. Technology advances rapidly, companies grow larger, and economic output continues to expand. On paper, productivity in the United States has risen dramatically over the past several decades. Yet many workers feel something very different. Despite rising productivity, wages for many households have barely kept pace with inflation. This contradiction is known as the productivity paradox. The productivity paradox refers to the phenomenon where rapid advances in information technology do not immediately translate into measurable productivity growth. First observed in the 1970s till 1980s in the United States, coined by Eric Brian Jefferson in 1983, inspired by Robert Solow's famous line, "You can see the computer age everywhere, but in the productivity statistics. How can the economy produce more wealth while so many workers feel left behind?" What productivity really means. Productivity measures how much economic output is produced for each hour of work. When productivity rises, it means workers are producing more value in less time. Historically, productivity growth was strongly linked to wage growth. During much of the 20th century, when productivity increased, workers' incomes also rose. This relationship helped create an American middle class. Factories became more efficient, businesses expanded, and wages improved alongside economic growth. But beginning in the late 20th century, something began to change. Now, let's see for the great disconnect. Since the 1980s, productivity has continued to rise, but wage growth has slowed dramatically. In other words, the economy produced more, but the gains are not evenly distributed. That means one side profits more and the other side receives less and less. More physical and mental effort are deployed for less revenue. The bosses are getting richer, and simple employees are left behind. Now, let's see for several factors explain this growing gap, just to have some justification why it happened. One major factor is technology. Automation, artificial intelligence, digital platforms have made the companies more efficient. But these technologies often reduce the number of workers needed to produce goods and services. Companies like Apple, Google, and Amazon generate enormous economic output with relatively small workforces compared with traditional industries. The second point is the globalization and labor competition. Another powerful force is globalization. Over the past 4 decades, companies have expanded supply chains across borders. Manufacturing jobs once located in the United States moved to countries with lower labor costs. Factories shifted to economies such as China and Vietnam. This allowed companies to reduce cost and increase productivity. But it also placed downward pressure on wages for many American workers. The result was a transformation of labor markets. Manufacturing employment declined while service sector jobs expanded. Many of these service jobs offer lower wages and fewer benefits. What is the third reason? The rise of capital over labor. Another key driver of the productivity paradox is the growing power of capital. In modern economics, the benefits of productivity gains increasingly flow to shareholders and investors rather than workers. Corporate profits have expanded significantly over the past several decades. At the same time, stock markets have delivered extraordinarily returns. This was a new way to make money other than spending hours at work. The wealth created by rising productivity often appears in rising asset prices rather than higher wages. People make more money because they have more savings that are invested in the capital markets. Institutions like the Federal Reserve have also played a role by supporting financial markets during economic downturns. While these policies stabilize the economy, they can also amplify asset-driven wealth. What is the fourth point, the fourth reason? The cost of living challenge. Even when wages do increase, many households struggle because the cost of living has rising faster. Housing prices, healthcare, and education have become dramatically more expensive. You are under pressure to work more hours and faster, but the salary doesn't keep up. So cities like San Francisco and New York City have seen housing costs soar over the past 2 decades. As a result, even middle-income workers often feel financially stretched. This combination, moderate wage growth and rising living costs, creates the perception that economic progress is not reaching anyone. Now, let me explain why it is so prominent in the United States. So the first reason is early and aggressive IT adoption. So what that means, the US adopted computers and digital systems earlier and more extensively than most countries. This means more opportunities for mismatch between investment and measurable outputs. More visibility when productivity doesn't rise as expected. The second point, measurement limitations. Traditional productivity metrics struggle to capture software-driven efficiency, knowledge work, service sector improvement, quality of life enhancements. This makes the US, with its large service and technical sectors, especially prone to the paradox. The third reason, organizational lag. IT investment often require new workflows, employees training, cultural change, complementary investments. US firms sometimes adopt tech faster than they adapt their organizations, creating a temporary productivity dip. What's the fourth reason? Sectors, specific issues. For example, manufacturing. Even with new factories and more workers, US manufacturing has seen decline real productivity, partly because new tech isn't fully integrated. Skills gap persists, capital investment doesn't match workforce growth. So now let's talk about why the economy still looks strong. Despite these challenges, the US economy continues to appear remarkably strong. Productivity growth fueled corporate expansions, technological innovation drives new industries, financial markets remain powerful sources of investment capital. These forces make the American economy dynamic and resilient, but they also concentrate economic gains in specific sectors and regions. The result is an economy that grows rapidly overall, while many households experience slower income growth. So let me tackle another issue, the bigger policy debates. The productivity paradox has become one of the central debates in the modern economic policy. Some economists argue that new investments in education, infrastructure, and innovation could help distribute productivity gains more broadly. Others believe labor markets must adapt to technological change through reskilling and workforce mobility. Major legislation such as the Inflation Reduction Act and CHIPS and Science Act aims to stimulate new industries and strengthen domestic manufacturing. Whether these policies can close the gap between productivity and wages remains an open question. What can be done to correct this issue? trying to give some solutions. First, invest in complementary capabilities, not just technology. Tech alone doesn't boost productivity. Organizations must redesign processes around it. Workflow automation, employees upskilling, data-driven decision-making, cross-functional integration. Second, accelerate effective AI adoption. MIT experts highlight AI as a key level for breaking the paradox in U.S. manufacturing and beyond. AI can automate routine tasks, improve forecasting, optimizing supply chains, enhance productivity design. Third, smarter industrial and innovation policy. Policy can help, but incentivizing tech adoption in lagging sectors, supporting R&D, using government procurement. 4. Improve productivity measurement. Modern economics need modern metrics. Better tracking of digital output, accounting for intangible asset, software, data, IP, measuring service sector improvements. 5. Strengthen workforce skills. The U.S. productivity slowdown is partly a skills mismatch. Workers need training in digital tools. Companies need to invest in a continuous learning education system, must adapt to tech-driven workforce. And the 6 solutions. Encourage organizational transformation. Firms must flatten hierarchies, empower teams, integrate IT into strategy, not just operations. So finally, what could I say for the conclusion? The productivity paradox highlights a fundamental challenge in the modern economy. The productivity paradox describes a puzzling gap, massive investments in information technology without matching gains in measure productivity. In the US, this paradox has been especially visible because the country is both a global leader in tech adoption and a place where productivity data is closely scrutinized. Fixing it requires better integration of technology, smarter policy, and organizational change. The United States continues to produce more wealth and innovation than ever before, yet the benefits of that growth are not evenly shared. Understanding this disconnect is essential to understanding the future of economic growth. Because long-term prosperity depends not only on productivity, but also on how its rewards are distributed. Thank you very much. To support our work, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. See you on the next one. This is Transversal Economy. Thank you very much for your attention. Take care. Bye.